The streets of Belasco City were alive with chaos, their silence shattered by the thunderous roar of the stolen Bugatti Tourbillon. Sleek, powerful, and stolen just hours before its delivery to its first owner, the hypercar was now a weapon of reckless destruction. Crowds screamed, vehicles swerved, and the city itself seemed to tremble as the driver tore through it, daring anyone to stop him. Officer Nightblood, a seasoned enforcer with nerves of steel, caught sight of the Bugatti blazing past him, a blur of midnight blue and fury. With a deep breath, he hit the siren and began the pursuit, his squad car dwarfed by the hypercar's raw power. Each maneuver was a battle of skill and will as he dodged away the chaos left behind. Near collisions, toppled street signs, and the collective gasps of terrified pedestrians. Calling for reinforcements, Nightblood barked orders through the radio, his voice cutting through the static. Roadblocks! Spike strips! I don't care what it takes, bring it down. But just as his team moved into position, a monstrous black Dodge Ram TRX roared into view, its driver a menacing accomplice. Without hesitation, the truck began plowing through police vehicles, its sheer size and force leaving destruction in its path. Nightblood's heart pounded as he witnessed two squad cars spin out, their drivers narrowly escaping harm. Gritting his teeth, he devised a desperate plan. He positioned spike strips at the next roadblock and prayed the Bugatti's driver wouldn't see them in time. The hypercar, defiant to the end, streaked toward the trap, its tires screeching as they hit the strips. In an instant, it lost control, spinning violently before coming to a stop, surrounded by a sea of flashing lights and shouting officers. But the battle wasn't over. The Dodge Ram driver, undeterred, turned back, ramming through more squad cars in a last-ditch effort to free his partner. Nightblood's jaw tightened as three black SUVs boxed the truck in, their collective force grinding it to a halt. As the dust settled and the drivers were dragged from their vehicles, the aftermath became clear. Millions of dollars in damage, multiple injuries, and a city left shaken but relieved. The Bugatti thief was sentenced to 10 years for his trail of destruction, while his accomplice faced 5 years for his brazen attack on law enforcement. Though battered and bruised, the officers and the city stood tall. They had faced chaos and emerged victorious, thanks to Officer Nightblood's unyielding resolve. The desert stretched wide and unforgiving under the burning sun, its silence broken only by the guttural roar of the armored gunner. A behemoth of steel and menace, it tore through the barren landscape with police vehicles trailing behind, like ants chasing a juggernaut. Every attempt to stop it, roadblocks, collisions, sheer force, had failed. The driver was relentless, determined to escape into the lawless territory just 3 miles away. Officer Nightblood arrived on the scene, his gaze sharp and calculating as he assessed the unfolding chaos. A wrecked SUV lay smoldering by the roadside, another victim of the gunner's unyielding power. The radio crackled with desperate voices. "We can't stop it! Nightblood, what's your plan?" For a moment he hesitated. His options were grim, but the gunner's destruction couldn't be allowed to continue. With a heavy heart, he issued the command, "Deploy the deadly roadblock." The officers obeyed, setting up what looked like a standard barrier, but concealing a hidden payload, a bomb, the last resort in situations like this. As the gunner thundered closer, its driver unaware of the trap ahead, Nightblood gripped his steering wheel tightly, bracing for the moment of reckoning. The explosion was deafening, a burst of fire and force that hurled the gunner into the air. Time seemed to slow as the massive vehicle twisted and rolled, its armored shell crumpling under the sheer violence of the blast. When it finally came to a stop, a shattered hulk resting on its side, Nightblood and his team sprang into action. They dragged the driver from the wreckage, his injuries leaving him too weak to resist. Nightblood's breath came in ragged gasps as he secured the scene, the weight of his decision heavy on his shoulders. He hadn't wanted it to come to this, but he'd saved lives by making the hard call. Another dangerous criminal was off the streets, and once again, his courage had turned the tide. But as the adrenaline ebbed and the quiet returned, Nightblood couldn't shake the thought. How long until the next chase?